Hello everyone, welcome you all in the another video tutorial. So in this video tutorial, we will discuss about a specific type of virus which is very common for humans and it named as Epstein Barr virus. So let's start with the introductive part. So before moving to the topic, let's understand some basic and characteristic features about the viruses. So we know that viruses are microscopic infectious agents. They are considered as non-cellular organisms because they do not have a particular cellular structure or they lack the cytoplasmic organelles and also do not have any cytoplasmic machinery to conduct different types of cellular functions. Which means that viruses can be defined as a chain of nucleic acids which resides in a host cell causing various infections in the host cell. And they cause different types of viral infections, that's why they are defined as infectious agents. So basically the structure of virus is only composed of a nucleic acid which can be DNA or RNA. And this nucleic acid act as a genetic material which have the information about the infections caused by these viruses and about the reproduction also. And this nucleic acid is surrounded by a proteinous layer which is called as nucleocapsid. So a virus is only made up of nucleic acids and a protein layer and it don't have any cellular machinery to reproduce and to conduct other cellular mechanisms. That's why it needs a host cell to reproduce and to make multiple copies of its genetic material. That's why they are considered as a connecting link between living and non-living organisms. So these viruses are very infectious for humans as well as for other higher animals and plants. And among all of these viruses, in this video we will discuss about a specific type of virus which is named as Epstein Barr virus. So basically it is commonly also known as EBV and it is a member of a herpes virus family from the viruses. And these have the ability to infect humans and they are very infectious and these infections are very common in humans. They are as much common that we are probably already contracted with the virus without even knowing it. So it is also considered as most common virus in humans. So basically the Epstein Barr virus is formally known as human gamma herpes virus. It is a scientific name provided to the Epstein Barr virus and it causes a very common disease which is very infectious and this disease is named as mononucleosis in caused in humans. Besides the mononucleosis, the Epstein Barr virus can cause different other diseases in humans including several types of infections which are termed as viral infections like Burkitt lymphoma and some malignant Epstein Barr virus associated lymphoproliferative diseases. Now let's understand about the structure of virus. So this virus is about 122 to 180 nanometer in diameter and is composed of a double helix DNA molecule. So basically we know that viruses have the genetic material either of DNA and RNA and this genetic material can be double stranded or can be single stranded. So in the condition of Epstein Barr virus, the genetic material is composed of a double stranded DNA molecule which contains about 85 genes in its structure. Now this DNA is surrounded by a proteinous layer which is called as nucleocapsid and the overall structure of the virus is made up of some viral teguments, several envelope proteins and some surface glycoproteins which make spikes in the structure and these spikes are helpful for the attachment of these viruses to the host cell. So these surface projections which are made up of glycoproteins are very essential for the infections of the host cell. So let's understand about the structure of virus with the help of this diagram. So this is the diagrammatic presentation about the structure of Epstein Barr virus. So in the core of this structure we can see it is the genetic material indicated as viral genome, and this genome is made up of a double helical DNA molecule in the case of Epstein Barr virus. Now this genetic material is enclosed in the proteinous layer which is called as capsid. So basically capsid is a protein cell of the virus which enclose its genetic material, and it acts as a protective layer for this genetic material, and this is also named as nucleocapsid. Now this nucleocapsid is followed by viral teguments, and these teguments are also made up of protein, and they are also surrounded by an envelope which contain lipids and also proteins. So here we can see this is the envelope, and these envelope having some envelope proteins are also called as some spikes. These are considered as glycoproteins, and these glycoproteins are very essential for the infections caused by these viruses, because they have the ability and they help to attach these viruses into the host cell so that they can enter into the host cell and replicate and multiply their copies. So as we have discussed that the Epstein-Barr virus can cause different types of diseases or viral infections in humans, and they are also considered as most common viruses for the humans. So the most common infection caused by EBV is mononucleosis, and this disease is also called as mono or sometimes as infectious mononucleosis. So basically it is a contagious disease, and EBV is the most common cause for this infectious mononucleosis. But there are certain other viruses which can also cause this disease in humans. So basically it is a very common among teenagers and also among children or infants, and most of the people carry the virus without being sick, which means they are asymptomatic for this disease, but it spreads most commonly through the body fluids and most primarily by the saliva, by using some personal items, by kissing, and by using toothbrushes, and by many other methods it can be spread in the community. So now let's understand about the symptoms of infectious mononucleosis, which appears usually from 4 to 6 weeks after we get infected with this virus. So these viruses cause mononucleosis in humans, and there are certain other viruses which can cause this disease. So basically the symptoms of infectious mononucleosis can be similar to some type of common cold and flu. That's why it is also difficult to diagnose about the viral infections. So these symptoms of the disease including extreme fatigue, fever, inflamed throat or called as sore throat, and swollen liver or swollen spleen, and sometimes head and body ache and rashes over the body. These symptoms are diagnosed in this condition or in this infection. So let's understand that how the disease can be diagnosed and what are the tests for this disease. So as we have seen in the previous slide that the symptoms for this disease are very similar to some other types of common cold and flus. So on the basis of the symptoms of this disease, the diagnosis for the infection is very challenging because the symptoms are very similar to some other types of infections. But there are several types of blood tests or some other tests by which we can diagnose the mononucleosis in the patient. So there are some blood tests which can detect the antibodies associated to the mononucleosis in the patient, and that method can diagnose the mononucleosis in the patient. And another test named as monospore test is also conducted to diagnose the infection in the patient. Now let's understand about the treatment for this disease. So as we have discussed that it is a viral infection, so it cannot be treated with antibiotics because antibiotics are only effective for the bacterial infections. But however, they can clear up on its own without any treatment because it is very common in the humans, and there are 9 out of 10 patients having antibodies for this disease. So it can be treated at home by some preventions, by taking rest or by some methods to prevent this disease. But beside this, there is not any specific treatment and there is not any specific vaccine to prevent this disease and to prevent the infections caused by Epstein Barr virus. So we can also use some medicines to treat the signs or the symptoms caused by this disease, but there is not a specific treatment to cure totally this infection. So as we have discussed that there are not any treatment methods for the treatment of this disease, and also there is not any vaccine for Epstein Barr virus by which we can prevent by this virus. So there are some prevention methods because including the mononucleosis, there are several other infections caused by EBV or Epstein Barr virus. So basically EBV can also increase the risk of developing some rare cancers because of the mutation in cells which are infected by the Epstein Barr virus. And some common types of cancers that are associated with Epstein Barr virus include Burkitt's lymphoma, Hodgkin's lymphoma, gastric adenocarcinoma, which is also commonly called as stomach cancer, and there are several other types of cancers also which are associated with Epstein Barr viruses. So it's very important to take some prevention methods to prevent ourselves by this virus. And these prevention methods include staying hydrated, getting plenty of rest, and the most common and most important prevention method including do not share any personal item like toothbrushes or towels or many other personal items with the infected person because it infects or it spreads with the saliva of the infected person. So these are some prevention methods by which we can prevent ourselves by this virus. So in this video we have discussed about the Epstein Barr virus, the common disease caused by this virus, and how we can prevent ourselves by this virus. Thank you.